What up, guys? Today we got a question from AverageAarron, who's experiencing one of the big ego battles that many of us deal with in Jiu-Jitsu for pretty much our entire run, and it doesn't really ever go away. It's a constant battle with it. But he says that he trained Jiu-Jitsu for about 4 months, had his very first competition. He did pretty well. He says that his first competition, he won gold in the no-gi and took third in the gi. Pretty good after only 4 months. He says since then he had all these beautiful benefits come from the competition where, he had this great adrenaline high from the competition, which was a lot of fun. He says that after the competition, he's noticed that his gas tank seems to last a little bit longer. He's calmer in the gym, and he's starting to sort of see things open up in his jiu-jitsu that he didn't see before the competition. Very common. A lot of people experience that. Here is the problem and the reason why he sends me the message. He says, Chewy, the problem is that I can't shake this feeling now because he signed up for a second competition coming up. He says, I can't shake this feeling of expectation now. And he says, it's dumb. It's a local Masters Division competition that doesn't matter to anyone, but yet I'm more nervous for this next competition coming up than for the first one. Have you ever experienced anything like this? Also, any chance of the Chewy competition coming to New England? So AverageAarron, thank you for the question. As far as the Chewy competition, I don't know. We'll find out. We're constantly sort of playing around with different locations and stuff like that, but hopefully we'll see at one of them. So here's the idea that I want to share with you, bro. So you're dealing with, again, what I consider to be one of the big ego battles in Jiu-Jitsu, because what happens in Jiu-Jitsu? We come in, and in the beginning, we don't know what we're doing. And we quickly realize that, right? Even if you think you know what you're doing, you get on the mat, you get choked out by like the 14-year-old kid, and you realize, oh crap, this is powerful stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. You submit to the martial art, you're like, teach me. And then you start training and you get your butt whooped for a long time and you just accept it. And then eventually you start to get decent at it. Now, this could be in competition or this could be just in the gym, but you start to kind of climb up that ladder. And then all of a sudden that mindset that you had before of having no expectation goes away. And this thought creeps into your mind that you're supposed to have a certain outcome. You're now a blue belt. You're supposed to beat the white belts, or you just placed and medaled at a competition. Well, you should place and medal at the next one. You start to set expectations of yourself and they start to be in the driver's seat. It's a dangerous place to be. And so you want to figure out a way to be more well-centered. Now, what do I mean by well-centered? So there's a book I wanted to share with you guys. I wrote about this. If you guys get my daily email as a part of the Chew Crew, then you may have seen this email a little while ago, but it's from a book called The Birth and Death of Meaning by Ernest Becker. Some of you guys might like the book. Some of you guys might find this stuff kind of dry and hard to read. So there's a part of this book that I shared to my daily email that I thought was really useful for this kind of thing when you're talking about winning and losing in competitions and things like that, that I'll share with you right here, Aaron. He says, Ernest Becker writes, we call precisely those people strong who can withdraw from the trifling parts of their identity, or especially from the important ones. Someone who can say, it's only a scratch on a Ferrari. The uneven wall is not me. The wood crack is not me, and so on. They disentangle themselves easily and flexibly from the little damages and ravages to their self-extensions. He goes on later to say that this flexibility of the self is real power, and the achievement, it is rare maturity. In technical language, we say that that person is well-centered and has control of his ego boundaries. The extensions of his self do not pull him off balance, rather he controls them. This centering of the ego boundaries under one's control is one of life's principal tasks, and few achieve it. And so his idea in the book that he was getting to was that our ego, our self-construction, right, and who we think we are, it's not just who we actually are, but then it becomes like the stories you start to tell yourself. Well, I've got this nice house. I've got this Ferrari. I've got a gold medal. Whatever you want to insert, right? All the stories you tell yourself. Well, what happens if, some of that stuff goes away, or you don't perform up to the expectation that you set for yourself of how you should be, whatever it is, it starts to pull you off balance. And so his idea in that is to be well-centered is that you have control of all these things and you realize that they are not you. And so there's an idea that I would share with you about how to lose and win like a champion that's really important. And it comes from the best people, in Jiu-Jitsu. So when I was at the ADCC championships a couple months back, I remember being in the warm-up room. And I remember being able to just, sit back and watch, right? And you see people winning and losing, and you see the way that they react. And, for me, I contrast it to the way I see very young competitors, because I deal with a lot of you guys in here, and I remember being this way, and I see some of my newer students this way. But the way that younger competitors, less experienced competitors react. So at the highest level, some of these guys are multiple-time world champions, ADCC champions. They go out. they compete against this other person, and then they lose, and they come back into the warm-up room, and multiple times I saw where the person who had just won and had sent this person packing was arm over arm, arm over shoulder with the person had lost, and they're like best friends. You know, they're hugging each other like, man, you did a great job, whatever. And you can see their body language. Are they bummed a little bit that they lost? Of course they are. Would they wanted to win? Of course they did. But they're not sitting there. They're not punching walls. They're not throwing a temper tantrum. They're like, them's the breaks. Let me figure out how to do better next time, and I'll do that, right? And you think about that, right? Because guys like, say, Rafael Lovato Jr., he had his best year at the ADCC 2024. Been doing this thing for a long time. Do you think that that guy would have been able to continue to do this thing if he was constantly setting this horrible expectation of how he's supposed to win, right? Because he didn't place for a long time. So he would have continued to do this, and he would just been running into this expectation issue that you're running into, right? And I don't know, I can't speak for him, but I imagine, because I've spoken to a lot of guys, a lot of them don't set expectations to themselves. They set goals. They have things they want to achieve. They desperately want to win, but they know they're not in control of the outcome. Now, likewise, just like you have to be able to lose like that to be a champion, you have to think about this too. You have to be able to distance yourself from the wins, because obviously we want to distance ourselves from the losses, right? We don't want to, when we're losing, we don't even want to think about that person. We want to move quickly as fast as we can away from that. But you have to distance yourself from the wins too, because what happens is, and what's happening with you right now, is as you start to get a little bit better and climb up the ladder, so to speak, we get really attached to these ideas of ourselves, right? The story in our head becomes very pleasant, and we're, But you have to distance yourself from them, because again, you're not your wins, you're not your losses. These are things you do. My student Brandon, who was at the ACC championships, a multiple time wrestling champion in college, and very, very good mindset for competing, good competitor. I remember, I've talked about this multiple times. His mantra to himself when he competes is, you're more than this. That's all he repeats over and over again. And he said that the reason why he started doing that was because, he won a national championship. Feeling pretty damn good at himself. And he had to create some distance, because he's like, I can't expect to win this thing every single time. I just have to go out there and wrestle and win matches. That's the focus, right? So you have to think about the same thing. You have to distance yourself from these things that you're doing so that you can be well-centered, so that you have control of them, so that you can engage in them, but they're not pulling you off balance. So that something like winning a gold medal and having this stupid expectation of yourself because of the story now pulls you off balance and messes up your mindset. Because what's going to happen is, if you start to set expectations, I got to win this match, I got to win this tournament, da-da-da-da-da, it makes you very fragile, right? Setting expectations of how you want the desired outcome to be, that makes you very fragile. Now, I want to sort of share something with you guys. When I say low expectations, that doesn't mean high standards, right? Like for me, I sort of try to live this mindset of low expectations, high standards. Meaning my behavior, my actions, the way that I go about things, I have very high standards for the way that I will engage in those things. So for competition as an example, when I get ready for a competition, I will train, I will diet, I will do all the things that I can to a T to make sure I increase my odds of winning, and to make sure I'm in the best possible shape that I can be for the thing that I'm doing, right? But I cannot control the outcome the day of. There could be a freak accident, I slip and twist my knee on the mat or something. You never know, right? The job that I have is to control the things that I can control. My training, the way that I live my life, those sort of things, right? And so I try to make sure that my behavior is always focused on, this is jiu-jitsu, this is off the mat as well, is focused on doing all the things I know I need to do. Then I let the chips fall where they may, right? I don't really care. And that mindset's been very useful to me, where I go to a competition and I go out there to win. I'm going out there to get after someone and win. I'm not out there not to lose, because I'm not worried about the outcome. I'm out there to win, which means I'm going out there trying to hit my techniques. If I go in there with this mindset of I'm supposed to win, then I'm going to start getting clingy and just try not to lose. It's a different mindset. Sometimes people think that I mean this by, you shouldn't try to win. It's not about not trying to win. I want to win. If I compete, I'm going to win. You should too. And you should do everything you can to make that happen. The issue is that you're not going to win every match you got, right? But your best way of winning and increasing those chances is to have good behaviors, good actions, good discipline leading up to the competition, and on the day of, completely get rid of this mindset of like clinging to the outcome. Again, at the beginning of this video, I said this is a practice. You'll never outgrow this. You're not going to watch this video and instantly be fixed. It's going to be a thing that you will battle with and you will practice with. Your job is to be vigilant of when that mindset starts to creep into your head. And again, do battle with it to remind yourself that, again, it's not going to be resourceful to you with what you're doing. It's not going to be useful to you. So anyway, that's the idea to chew on AverageAarron. Just drop my phone. Who cares? I throw it at the time all the time at the gym. And again, if you guys want to check out this book, you can check it in the links below. And if you guys want to get my daily email where I share all kinds of stuff from jiu-jitsu training to books I'm reading, then you can do so by checking the links down below. But that said, Aaron, thanks for the question. I'll talk to you guys next time.